You think you know the story of Terminator 3, but the version you saw in theaters was almost a completely different movie. Did you know the T-X was originally an invisible predator? Or that the studio filmed secret happy endings because they were terrified of a nuclear apocalypse? Today we're uncovering 10 hidden truths about Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. And tucked inside it, there's a hidden Easter egg that reveals a secret connection to the Aliens and Halo universe. Number 1. The T-800 secret upgrade. The Arnold Terminator in this movie isn't the classic T-800 from Terminator 1 and 2, it's the T-850. The name never appears in the film, but it's confirmed through the official Terminator 3 novelization and Stan Winston School behind-the-scenes sources. So what makes the T-850 different? It's a direct upgrade built to survive the T-X's anti-Terminator weapons. Powered by dual hydrogen fuel cells, it's far more volatile than the old nuclear core, but delivers a huge boost in strength, resilience, and energy output. It even has the ability to reboot its own systems after a devastating electrical hit. It's a secret upgrade that explains why he could restart his systems after a plasma blast that would have melted any older model, something a standard T-800 could never do. Number 2. The secret ending that almost saved the world. Director Jonathan Mostow knew that ending a massive movie with a total nuclear apocalypse was a huge gamble, so he actually prepared 2 alternate happy endings just in case the studio panicked. In the first version, a second T-850 would have appeared inside the military bunker to smash the Skynet mainframe computers, physically destroying the hardware before it could send the launch signal. In the second version, John Connor would have used a secret override code at the terminal to cancel the global missile strike, stopping the worldwide catastrophe at the very last second. However, the writers fought hard to keep the dark ending. They argued that if John saved the day again, like in Terminator 2, this entire sequel would be pointless. They wanted to prove the terrifying truth. Judgment Day isn't avoidable, it's inevitable. Thankfully, they won. Number 3. The secret Halo and alien weapons. If you look closely at the T-X's internal heads-up display, you will find several hidden references to other famous science fiction universes. When she is cycling through her onboard weapon systems to find a replacement for her damaged plasma cannon, the scrolling text shows some legendary gear. One entry is the M41 pulse rifle, which is the standard-issue weapon used by the Colonial Marines in the movie Aliens. Another entry is the Needler, the iconic alien weapon from the Halo video game franchise. This wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated homage to James Cameron. Since Cameron directed the first 2 Terminator films and also directed Aliens, the crew snuck this in as a respectful nod to the man who started it all. Number 4. The invisible villain that almost was. Before the T-X was finalized, an early script draft by Teddy Sarafian featured a completely different antagonist called the T-1G. This version of the Terminator possessed the terrifying ability to turn completely invisible, much like the hunters from the Predator franchise. This stealth capability would have shifted the film into a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek, emphasizing suspense over the heavy firepower eventually seen in the movie. However, the concept was ultimately scrapped in favor of the T-X's nanotechnological transmorphing and onboard weapon systems, like her signature plasma cannon. Number 5. The heartbreaking secret. Inside Sarah Connor's grave. In Terminator 3, engraved on Sarah's casket is the iconic phrase, "No fate but what we make." It's a callback to the core message of the first 2 films, the idea that the future isn't set, and we have the power to delete the apocalypse through our own choices. However, T3 pulls a brutal bait-and-switch, while T1 and T2 was all about hope and preventing disaster. T3 introduces a grim reality. Judgment Day is inevitable. The T-850 shatters our optimism by revealing that John didn't stop the war, he only delayed it. The lesson here is dark but powerful. You can fight to change your path, but you must also be ready to endure the storms you can't stop. Number 6. The most ruthless contract in Hollywood history. When Arnold was first approached for Terminator 3, he initially refused because James Cameron wasn't returning as director. But Cameron told him that the movie simply couldn't happen without him. Armed with that confidence, Arnold negotiated one of the most brutal deals ever made in Hollywood, a $29.25 million pay-or-play contract, guaranteeing he'd receive every dollar even if the film was canceled or never released. It was a staggering leap from the mere $75,000 he earned for the 1984 original. And he didn't stop there. He added a ruthless clause. If filming ran longer than 19 weeks, the studio owed him an extra $1.6 million per week. This record-breaking deal cemented Arnold as the highest-paid actor of his era. Number 7. The Ghost of Ridley Scott. Long before Jonathan Mostow signed on, the search for a director was a high-stakes hunt for a visual stylist who could rival James Cameron. One of the top contenders was Ridley Scott, the visionary mind behind Alien and Blade Runner. If Scott had taken the job, fans would have likely seen a much darker, more atmospheric horror noir version of the story. However, Scott ultimately chose to direct the gritty war drama Black Hawk Down instead. Other candidates on the shortlist included David Fincher and Roland Emmerich. Fincher, known for his grimy and psychologically dark style, would have potentially created a version of T3 that focused more on the bleakness of the future than the action of the present. Number 8. The Silent Killing Look. The search for the first female Terminator, the TX, was one of the most exhaustive casting calls in Hollywood history. The production team auditioned over 10,000 actresses for the part. While established stars like Famke Johnson and Carrie-Anne Moss were considered, the role eventually went to the then unknown Kristanna Loken. Her audition was uniquely simple yet terrifying. She was asked to walk down a hallway, stop, and give the casting directors a killing look without saying a single word. This test was designed to see if she could project robotic menace through nothing but her physical presence. It worked, and Loken was chosen to embody the most advanced machine Skynet had ever created. Number 9. Arnold's personal sacrifice. During the filming of the iconic crane chase sequence, which involved a 100-ton crane truck tearing through a city street, the production hit a major financial wall. Director Jonathan Mostow wanted a visceral practical shot where the Terminator swings through an entire glass building while hanging from the crane hook. The studio, already stressed by the rising budget, refused to pay for the construction and destruction of the building set. Unwilling to let the scene be ruined by early 2000s CGI, Schwarzenegger stepped in and paid approximately $1.4 million out of his own salary to fund the sequence. This ensured that one of the most famous moments in the movie was achieved through real-world destruction rather than digital effects. Number 10. The tragic firing of John Connor. Edward Furlong was the original and intended choice to return as John Connor after his iconic performance in the second film. He had even signed the contract to appear in the third installment. However, Furlong was struggling with severe personal health struggles at the time. In a tragic turn of events, he suffered a major medical emergency on the very night he signed the paperwork for the movie. When news of his condition reached the studio executives, they feared he would become a major insurance liability and replaced him immediately. This led to a desperate search for a replacement, eventually leading to Nick Stahl being hired so quickly he didn't even read the script before his audition. From Arnold's record-breaking contract to the tragic recasting of John Connor, Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines was a production as volatile as a T-850's fuel cell. We've uncovered how close we came to an invisible villain and a happy ending that would have rewritten history. It leaves us with one haunting question. If the writers hadn't fought for that bleak nuclear finale, would the Terminator legacy still carry the same weight? Perhaps the inevitability of Judgment Day was the only thing that kept the story's soul intact. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed these hidden truths, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite sci-fi classics.